next.
Well, they can do airplanes the same way. They can put, like, the fins on a long neck at the front instead of on a tail at the back.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what the Wright brothers and stuff did. Like, there's
Huh.
reasons to do this.
Okay.
Yeah, look at, here's a picture of the Brazilian guy's plane. He's got the propeller at the back, and it looks more like a box kite, and it's got a goofy box kite fin on a long neck at the front.
Did it actually work?
If you squint, it sort of looks like a goose. I suppose it did.
He's got a bicycle for landing, or 2 bicycle wheels for landing gear.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And then,
sort of industry standard. I mean, the Wright brothers were bicycle repairmen. They weren't, like, great physicists or anything.
fair enough. I mean, they got to make it lightweight. I guess, what's the next evolution, I guess? Is that the Zeppelin? Because, I mean, we did that for a little while before that.
No, they fucked around with hot air balloons and stuff and with gas bags. Here's a picture of the weird Brazilian thing hanging under the gas bag.
Yeah, it's just a giant, what Bert said here, which is a gas bag, a giant bag filled with something on top of that kite/plane mixture thing. Highly suggest y'all look it up. It's Dumont's airplane, I guess, is what that would be called.
There were other guys, and I think they were on, like, a lake between Canada and the U.S. I'm not sure exactly what the deal with Langley was.
Langley being who? Is that what this plane's called, or?
There's a guy called Langley, and he was working for the Smithsonian. And the Army paid him a bunch of money to come up with an airplane to invent the airplane.
Was this
so he
before or after the Wright brothers?
This was before the Wright brothers. Like, he took a shitload of money from them. He made these giant, goofy, steam-powered flying machines and tried to launch them by catapult off of a boat. And here, you can see the picture. Look at this. Here's your goofy-looking boat. Here's your goofy-looking runway slingshot thing on top. And there's your goofy steampunk flying machine. And you can see it's barely left the thing, and it's already crashing into the water.
I love the idea of, yes, Chinaman, Kite Man, on his next daring adventure in the U.S. We're going to launch ourselves off a catapult, you see, and then our intrepid hero, he launches in 3, 2, 1, yay, I'm flying, badonk, into the ocean. I find that hilarious. The Chinaman Intrepid Adventures #2. We can make a comic out of this if you really wanted to.
Yeah, the history of flight is goofy. It's full of weird-looking stuff. It's why it's enticing to people.
I like the idea of how men, or man or woman, or however you want to say it, just have always looked to the sky and just been like, I want to do that. And then eventually we did, but it took a lot of finessing and a whole lot of, like, I don't even know, because, like, after the Wright brothers, how did they get to the point where, hey, we're understanding the needed updraft or the lift that's necessary to get this metal body off the ground? Where does that part come in?
Where does the real science of, like, the fluid dynamics and shit come in?
Yeah.
I don't know. What people always say is, like, oh, well, it's Bernoulli, right? Bernoulli's
Bernoulli's formula.
Yeah, it's Bernoulli's formula what causes airplanes to work. See, it has a bump at the front, and it slows down the stuff under the wing and it speeds up the air over the wing, and the faster moving fluid has lower pressure. Like, Bernoulli's formula isn't wrong or anything, but it's mostly bullshit for airplanes and stuff. Like,
I mean, yeah,
Like,
because that
what-
entire formula is based off the principles of water and or fluids, and it's like air is technically a fluid.
like an airplane wing works more or less like you think it would, is that it's moving very fast through the air, shit hits the bottom edge of it and gets bounced back towards the ground. Like, that's 90% of it.
Because I remember when I was in high school, we had to design a airfoil, and it was the actual like shape of the airfoil helped you to get a better lift, a better I think what do they call that, a yaw? So like a better angle of attack, all these different components, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh cool, I just took some styrofoam, made a nice little guppy thing, and ended up putting it through a wind tunnel, and come to find out, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And then you start to look at, hey, you could do this, hey, you could do that, and it's like, I think we did it by hand, and it was like you just kind of like look at all that stuff and I think to yourself, okay, why are we doing this by hand? And it's like you're just learning the principles of how air works, and how you're creating this lift and drag and all this other stuff that comes into how a plane actually is able to take off. But all of that doesn't mean shit unless you have the actual power part of that, like actual like jets to fucking get you off the ground. So it's like you got to make leaps and bounds. Like the Wright brothers, like what do they have? They just had a fucking wannabe launcher and just shot a fucking kite